just a couple of hours after he thought he was in the clear, they made a statement saying that the claims that have been made against him were essentially an attack from the Trump administration, and then from his MAGA Republicans in Congress. And then cut to again, a couple hours later, the Justice Department is investigating him.
America, Monday morning, the Senate clears him. He goes on television and calls the entire thing right-wing conspiracy peddled by far-right activists. By the time he sat down for dinner, the Department of Justice had opened up a criminal probe. One Monday, 3 acts.
A source tells ABC News the Justice Department's investigating Democratic Senator Ruben Gallego. The source says the investigation's focused on Gallego's reported use of campaign funds for child care and family travel. Yesterday, the Senate Ethics Committee closed an investigation into Gallego, finding no evidence he violated the law or Senate rules. We've reached out to Gallego's office for comment, but haven't heard back yet.
What is up, guys? Tyson, DeLaCruz here. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Ruben Gallego, Democratic U.S. Senator from Arizona, elected in 2024, 43 years old, Marine veteran, working class background, Latino. The party has been calling Gallego, they've been calling him the future. His name keeps coming up for 2028. Here's what his donors paid for. Since 2019, Gallego used campaign committee and leadership PAC funds, basically money donors gave him to run for office. He used it for family trips to Disneyland, Disney World, Miami, Chicago, and St. Bart's. St. Bart's is a private island in the Caribbean. It's not cheap. It's not like going to David Buster's over here, okay? It's not in Arizona, obviously. More than $18,000 of those expenses were filed under child care. Child care, my friends.
Gallego is being investigated by the Trump administration's Department of Justice over suspected financial violations, and this following claims he used campaign cash to fund luxury trips. Now, Gallego's office has dismissed the investigation as the latest attempt by the White House to weaponize the Justice Department against the president's political rivals.
His actual defense here, his own words, direct quote, Democrats and Republicans in Congress and the White House alike regularly travel with their wives and children as permitted by the FEC. Those of you that aren't familiar with it, the FEC is the government agency that oversees how campaign money gets used. He's right about that child care reimbursement that is permitted. What he skipped, though, he skipped that a whistleblower out of Southern California told the Department of Justice, the DOJ, that the filings and actual spending, they don't line up. That's the probe. That's what it's about. The category isn't the crime. The actual paperwork is. Now the other number, because Gallego didn't just use his own accounts here, okay? In 2023, he co-built a leadership PAC, a joint fundraising account with none other, you guys, than Eric Swalwell. Schwal. If that name doesn't ring a bell, it will now.
This case is closed. The Bureau said over 10 years ago, all we did was help. But this effort to weaponize the FBI against the president's political enemy, that I have the only surviving lawsuit that this president displaced its be in the January 6th officers.
That press conference was about a Chinese intelligence operative who fundraised for Eric Swalwell, placed a staffer in his office, and cultivated a personal relationship with him while working for Beijing. He said closed. He was still on the House Intelligence Committee, the committee with access to classified national security information when he said that. Then this year, Swalwell resigned from Congress entirely over a separate set of allegations. Sexual misconduct with multiple women. And you know who was there in some of those images? Allegedly, Mr. Gallego. He admitted to making quote-unquote mistakes while denying criminal behavior. Eric Swalwell just happens to be Ruben Gallego's best friend, a man whose 2020 presidential campaign Gallego personally chaired. The man he called his best friend publicly on camera, all after a Chinese spy story broke. The pact that those two built together, Gallego and Swalwell, spent $37,000 37 grand on Super Bowl tickets and meals in 2023. Gallego's defense on the Super Bowl big ticket, you go where the money is to raise money. That is a real quote from this guy. That's a real quote. The donors gave him money to go raise money at the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl raised money from the donors. The math on that one is left for you guys to figure out. Now I got to be completely straight with you guys because there's a part that a lot of these other channels and coverage of this absolutely missed. The Senate Ethics Committee investigated all of this. A bipartisan panel, Democrats and Republicans sitting together, reviewed the same allegations and found, in their own words, you guys, no evidence that his actions violated federal law, Senate rules, or related standards of conduct. They thanked him for cooperating. That clearance is absolutely real, and that obviously happened. The DOJ probe is also real, and it happened the same day. Those two facts coexist because the Senate and the federal government, they measure different things, you guys. The Senate defines quote-unquote clean as what it can establish within its own chamber situation, okay? The Department of Justice, the DOJ, defines it as what it can prove in federal court using subpoenas, bank records, and a whistleblower sworn testimony. One of those processes has your financial records, Ruben. The whistleblower complaint originated in Southern California, not Arizona, not Washington. Ruben Gallego represents Arizona. The complaint that triggered a federal criminal probe comes from a different state entirely, filed by somebody who had specific knowledge of his spending and chose the federal route after watching how the ethics committee process was actually heading and where it was going. It's not a random filings. That is somebody who knows which door to be knocking on.
Ruben Gallego has been really kind of held up as a model for the Democratic Party's future since winning his Senate seat in 2024, with his colleagues kind of praising his skills as a communicator who succeeded during a time when other Democrats have really struggled, right?
The Democrat Party has been running Ruben Gallego as proof that they can potentially win the working class voters back. Working class, he's a Marine, rise from poverty in Chicago. That's the entire pitch here. Now, he's good friends with Eric Swalwell, so that's going to be a little indention on his record here. That's the brand here, okay? The brand expense was St. Bart. The 2028 presidential infrastructure was already being built for Ruben Gallego. Iowa appearances, New Hampshire appearances, the quiet groundwork for somebody who isn't just a senator anymore. His donors gave small amounts to a quote-unquote working class Marine from the Southeast because they believed in his story. Now that story has a federal criminal investigation footprint on it. If the probe produces charges, and I'm not saying that it will, but maybe, because the ethics committee cleared him and nothing has been proven yet, I got to say that for the YouTube purposes, the entire 2028 case absolutely collapsed. You can't run as a working class person to elite politics when your receipts show a Disney World and Caribbean island vacation and $37,000 at the Super Bowl with the guy who ran out of Congress. This is your best friend, Eric Swalwell. And if it doesn't produce any charges, he still has to answer at every campaign stop why the DOJ opened up a file that same afternoon. The Senate said that he was okie dokie. That question follows him to Iowa. It follows him to New Hampshire. It follows him in every single room that somebody asks, Gallego, tell me about yourself. America, here's the verdict. He said right-wing conspiracy. That was Monday morning. The DOJ opened up a federal probe Monday evening. The Senate cleared him with a bipartisan vote. The feds decided to look anyways. Donors gave money to a working class Marine from Arizona. That working class Marine from Arizona went to St. Bart with the money and filed it all as childcare. Co-built a pact with the guy who got forced out of Congress and was caught with a Chinese spy and dropped $37,000 at the Super Bowl. The Senate checked the box. The feds, they're checking the bank records. Those are two different checks. One of them hasn't even finished yet. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe, and as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.